Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Szcymanski, and I have the current world record in every category in big rigs and most categories in Midnight Race Club. Normally my videos are my speedruns of the aforementioned, but I decided to do something a little bit different. In none of my videos nor Twitch streams have I really gone in depth about who I was, what I look like, how I got into playing the games, and what I want to do in the future. This video will address all of this. I want to keep this video short, but there is a lot of information that needs to be discussed. Anyway, let's dive in. So who actually am I? Well, that's me. That is the person who is speaking right now. I know I don't sound like it, but I can't really control that. I can't control my genetics. So why the hell do I actually play big rigs given how terrible it is? I only have one answer to that. It's so bad it's good. I remember the first time I played the game, I was so shocked at how abysmal it was, and laughed about it for a while. There are so many problems with big rigs, driving at light speed in reverse, going through everything, no collision, broken checkpoint systems, you can't lose, drive up steep hills like it's nothing. Physics is non-existent in this game, and that's what makes it so amazing. There are no rules, so you're free to do whatever the hell you want. My journey with big rigs began in June 2021. I'm not sure of the exact date, but it was in the beginning of June when I found Alex Navarro's speedrun of big rigs during AGDQ 2015 on YouTube. I never even knew about big rigs, so I was interested to see how the game was, given that it only took him about 3 minutes for him to complete. The moment I saw the game menu screen, I knew that this game was going to be something to watch. I listened to him briefly explain how the speedrun worked, and I laughed at how stupid and confusing it sounded. It made no sense, but I was willing to see it being done. Seeing the big rig going in reverse at ridiculous speeds was so funny for some reason, that I was laughing the entire speedrun as Navarro completed Small Town Road before doing his menuing between each course to see the infamous "Your Winner" each time before finishing the game upon loading Night Ride. Navarro got a 3:21.91, which seemed impressive to me, but I knew that someone who had the game could beat that time if they could complete Small Town Road if they did not stop as much. That's called foreshadowing. At the same time, if not right after I watched Navarro's speedrun, I found Angry Video Game Nerd's video on big rigs. To ensure brevity, I loved every single second of the video. He perfectly explained the biggest issues in big rigs and used it to make the excellent commercial. He puts it well when he says, "These monumental blunders distract from all the regular flaws that would already be enough to fill any game." If Navarro or Angry Video Game Nerd ever find this video, I want to personally thank both of them for doing what they did, as they both inspire me to play the game and continue to inspire me for playing it even today. It was not long after this when I downloaded big rigs and got my first-hand experience with the game. I drove around each course just to see how absolutely terrible the game was, and I was not disappointed. I began my speedrunning career with what I called a casual playthrough of the game, where I just completed the game as fast as I could. I timed my performance with my phone on the clock app because I did not know about live split at the time. My first few times were in the low 3 minutes, so right around the same time Navarro got at AGDQ. A few days later, I began to take my playthroughs a bit more serious and began my actual speedrunning career with more serious things like live split, OBS. I began to record my runs and use live split to get a more accurate time. First recorded speedrun was on June 21st, 2021 with a 2:57.86. There are several issues with this speedrun. The biggest issue obviously is that I did not have live split on my OBS source, so none of you could see the time, only myself. I began the course as normal, driving in reverse and following the road, but not even 15 seconds in and I had to let go of the reverse because I was going too fast for me. I kept doing this every 10 to 15 seconds, but I was still slightly ahead of Navarro's pace. I followed the road in Small Town Road, completely unaware that I could take shortcuts and go off the track and skip segments of the road. My menuing skills were mediocre at best. They were consistent but not very fast. In the video's description, I noted that the run is improvable, and it most certainly was. For the next few days, I continued to improve my time, learning from previous mistakes and cutting off segments of the track. I was seeing massive improvements, breaking the 2-minute barrier on my second day of speedrunning. On June 26, I got a 1:32:45, which at the time was the RTA world record. It was not the in-game time world record, as that belonged to German user Nimputs. However, the very next day, I got the IGT world record, meaning that I had both top spots for RTA and in-game time. Compare my performance in Small Town Road in this run compared to my very first run. Already out the gate in the world record run, I was doing something that I call double reverse, in which I hold down both the space and down arrow key, as both serve as reverse keys. Furthermore, I did this while going at an angle to cut off a part of the track. I got the first checkpoint in around 10 seconds in the new record, compared to 23 seconds in the very first run. I began to memorize where each checkpoint was and was using visual cues to help me determine if I was going at too much of an angle or if I needed to turn more. In the new run, I still went along the tracks around the 20 to 22 seconds, but I cut off another portion of the track to save time. These minor improvements led me to taking my Small Town Road time of 1:33:25 in the first run to just over 29 seconds in the new run, over 1 minute of time saved. Small things such as cutting off turns, going in double reverse, and just learning the game saved me over a minute, and granting me my first world record in any video game. Just as a side note, I was 17 and just finished my junior year of high school when I got the record. I thought about stopping here now that I had the record, but I wondered, what is the human limits in big rigs? How fast can someone beat the game? In July, I continued to improve my time at any percent, immediately starting off the month with a 1:28:63, the first ever sub 1:30 RTA. I finished the month with a 1:22:50. I know this does not sound very impressive, only about 6 seconds of improvement, but keep in mind, I had brought down my original time from around 2:57 to now 1:22, over a minute and a half of improvement. The only way to get faster times was by minute improvements and overall better menuing, the latter being something very difficult for a human. With better control of the truck in Small Town Road, my time in the course itself was consistently a high 20-second or low 21-second. My 1:22:50 run would stay the record for over 2 years. Like big rigs, I'm not exactly sure when I came across its hidden sequel, Midnight Race Club Supercharged. For most watching this video, you may have not even heard that Big Rigs has a sequel. When Big Rigs was being made, it was originally intended to be one big game, where you have the option to drive a truck, sports car, motorcycle, an SUV, or pickup truck. However, due to the time constraints, the game was split in two. Therefore, we have two games, Big Rigs with just the trucks, and Midnight Race Club with the others. The best analog I can come up for this is Sonic 3 and Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Anyway, while Midnight Race Club had a bit more time with the developers and programmers, there were still so many issues with this game. They did add collision in the game, but it's not even that great. When you hit something, it plays this very loud bang noise that is extremely annoying. They added some physics in the sense that you cannot drive up steep hills anymore, but instead of making your vehicle slow down and then start going backwards, they just make your vehicle stop instantaneously with no further movement. However, you can still go up these inclines if you drive in reverse. They still did not fix the reverse speed issue, so you are still free to reach infinite speed in reverse. The camera did get severely screwed over if you do try to drive in reverse, making it near impossible to complete any course this way. The developers did add a course to Night Ride, but it just redirects you to Small Town Road. In essence, there is no course unique to Night Ride. The catch about this is that you can only do this if you boot up the game before doing anything else. If you complete a course and then go to Night Ride, the game crashes. Once I got the hang of Midnight Race Club, I began another casual playthrough of the game, completing every course in just under 13 minutes. 2 days later, I began speedrunning attempts and improved my time to 10:50. The next day, Nimputs beat my time, which I beat later the same day. The next day, September 1st, Nimputs beat that time. His time would stay on the top until February 2024. I was back in school again. I didn't really have as much time to do a lot of speedruns, but with the limited time I had, I still got a few runs in, focusing on IL improvements on Midnight Race Club and big rigs. I ended October 2021 with a 2089 on Small Town Road. In short, I didn't have a lot of time. Even during the summer, I was working and too busy to play either game. Even in 2023, as I was about to start my second year of college, I did not have much time to get any runs going. With the few times I did have a spare moment, I would try to get a new record in something with very little success. I knew I had what it takes to get a record, and I came out of my break. I had countless moments where I was on pace or just about to be on pace for a new world record, but never did it materialize. Thankfully, that would only last for a few days. In September, after about a month of failed any percent attempts, I finally got a new record at the start of the month with the 120.90.
Yes! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Finally! Oh my gosh, it's been 2 years.
The next day, I took it down to 120.01.
Oh my god, a new record.
It was supposed to be a high 119, but I had a bad reaction time at the end, and I ended the run late. Later that same day, I took it down further to a 119.44, the first official sub 120 RTA.
Sub 120, it's over.
Again the next day, the time got cut to 119.05, to be reduced even further to 118.63, which is their current record at the time of recording. Let's compare my 118 run to my first ever run. Before we even begin playing the game, the load time is much faster, 4 seconds compared to 7. That was because I bought a new laptop as my previous one was getting old. Like my previous comparison, I immediately began my new run going in double reverse, and went at an angle that got me close to the first checkpoint, which I reached around 8 seconds compared to 23 seconds in the first run. I lined myself up using the next checkpoint to be almost parallel with the Arc de Triomphe so I can cut off a large portion of the course. Again, I lined myself up with this checkpoint to cut off the track, and to get the next 2 checkpoints rather easily. Once I had reached the last checkpoint, I made my new adjustments to stay in a straight line, all while going over 800 miles an hour in reverse. Finished Small Town Road in 2089 compared to 133.25 when I started. My menuing had improved as I learned to move my mouse at a specific angle and at a certain speed so I do not go past the next sign. All this culminated into a 118.63, a total improvement of 1 minute and 39 seconds. Now that I got the record at any percent, I wanted to shift my focus to 100%, the only category that I did not have a record in. At the UK user NoPen2. His run was way ahead of the competition as he knew to drive in reverse while adjusting his speed, and was familiar with the courses. I was impressed looking at his run, most surprised by the fact that NoPen2 was able to drive rather well in reverse, but I knew that if I tried enough, I would break his record, like I did to every other category in the game. At this point, it was just a matter of time. The only problem I had was that I could not get version 3, the patch needed to run 100%, to work. I downloaded the patch file and ran it, but never got the game to load properly. I came close, but all I did was get version 1 to boot when I really needed version 3. On another note, I continued to get IL improvements which saw a new time in Small Town Road. The 2089 was taken down to 2082, which would not be touched until April 23, 2024. I really wanted to get the 100% record, but I never got it to load. To add on to this, I was back in college now, unhappy with how things were going. In January 2024, I transferred colleges because I did not like the education I was receiving. I found myself to have a lot more free time and to do what I want, which I used to get more runs and more attempts done. I honed my focus on Midnight Race Club as I could not get version 3 to work, and I thought that I had put enough work on big rigs, at least for now. In late January, I was watching Twitch, trying to find someone to watch, and I noticed that someone was streaming big rigs. I was surprised because I thought no one would be streaming this in 2024. I clicked on it and I found American user KResult72, Kyle, doing 100% runs as his followers suggested it to him. I watched the stream and had fun interacting with Kyle and his followers, watching him ultimately get an 11:15, which gave him 5th place. At the time, he did not know that I was a record holder in every other category, but once I told him I was a moderator on the speedrun.com page for big rigs, he realized who I was, and it was a rather funny revelation. In February, I showed Kyle Midnight Race Club and he began to play the game on some of his streams, and he began to approach and surpass my records. I would take back the record, only for Kyle to take it back not long after. This back and forth sequence would continue for every category in the game for some time. I ended up resorting to learning how to do Forgotten Road 1 and Small Town Road in reverse to ensure that my times stay on top. I used the month of March to grind out IL runs in every course except Small Town Road. I did so by mapping out each course, noting each checkpoint location, and determining the fastest possible route. This required a lot of patience and trial and error, but if I already did that for Small Town Road, I could do it for the other courses. The routing would end up becoming extremely helpful to the new times I would be seeing. On March 23rd, Kyle showed me how to get version 3 working, and once I booted up the game and verified that it was indeed version 3, I immediately halted all other progress and began my journey to get the 100% record. It didn't last very long. Later that day, I recorded a 4:55.86, which beat No Pen 2's time by just over 20 seconds.
Yes! Oh my god.
I felt relieved. I did it. Every category in Big Rigs was now under my name. This has never happened before in the history of the game. I knew this time was not good enough though, so I started up a new run, determined to get the fastest time possible. 2 days later, I took the time down to 4:46. All the while, Kyle was taking back some of the records he lost at Midnight Race Club, and I had to quickly take them back. I ended March with the new 100% record of 4:23.16.
Yes! Yes!
Into April, and I improved that time to 4:16.50, which remained the record for about 17 days. I returned to IL improvements, working on Double Passage 2 and Forgotten Road 1. In the middle of the month, I created a theoretical run for 100% using the then best times that I had for each course, which resulted in a 3:41 RTA. This theoretical run is no longer theoretical as I have since improved my IL times, and a future theoretical run might be in the works. On April 22nd, I obtained a staggering 21:71 on Forgotten Road 1. I did this while completing the entire course in double reverse. This was very difficult, as minor adjustments when increasing the speed caused the truck to shift directions a lot. The very next day, I lowered my 100% time to a 3:59.36, the first sub 4 minute 100% run and the current world record at the time of recording. Also the same day, I lowered my Small Town Road IL to 2081, an improvement of 1/100th of a second. This time will later be beaten by also another 1/100th the next day. On my spreadsheet showing the best time compared to my best run time, I calculated the theoretical time which, as of April 24th, 2024, is 3:26.88 RTA, meaning that I have about 32 to 33 seconds to make up. Mostly these extra times are in Small Town Road. Right now, my main focus has shifted to lowering my 3:59 as close as I can to that 3:26, or whatever the theoretical time will be in the future. As I continue to improve my IL time, the theoretical time will likely get down, which means that I'll have to put more effort into optimizing my runs. Eventually, the human limit in this game will be reached, and the only improvements will be done on a task. I have strong desires to create a task for big rigs in both 100% and any percent, to see what a perfect run would be and what I need to do to get there. For the future, things are up in the air. I'm not really sure what I want to do once I am done with Big Rigs and Midnight Race Club. Honestly, I am losing interest in Midnight Race Club because it isn't as fun to play as Big Rigs. it did not hit me as much as Big Rigs. I think it's a great game, but Big Rigs is what I initially intended to play until it was pushed to the human limit. Now that we are nearing the end of the video, I just have a few closing remarks. I am very proud of my accomplishments and everything I have done since I first began speedrunning Big Rigs and Midnight Race Club. I never thought I'd be here with the records I have, taking the record down to the times that they currently are at. Out of all people in the world with internet access, I was the one who came across Big Rigs and ultimately downloaded the game. I never thought that my name would be attached to all these records. When I first got the RTA world record in any percent, I was 17 and I was so surprised and I was very happy. Now, as I'm almost 21 with the records I have now, it helped me realize that even if it's only just driving a truck in reverse, work does pay off. I could have learned to speedrun any other video game on any other console, but it just happened to be Big Rigs and Midnight Race Club. I do think that someday, someone else will pick up the game and take down all of my records, and I'm fine with that. Records are meant to be broken, and the day that my last record falls, it means that we are in a new chapter and someone will have taken the crown that I have had for all these years. It's just a matter of time.